Hello, my name is Muhammad Nisha Afik.
My name is Muhammad Amehari.
I'm Hamzafi bin Rashidi.
And my name is Francesca. So for this assignment prompt of Mathematics 2, FBM0035, which will be guided by our lecturer, Madam Nuraini, we, students of ES2 from Group 8, have conducted a survey on investigating the relationship between extracurricular involvement and academic excellence in Generation Z university students. Without further ado, let's move on to the calculations part, which will be presented by my other group members.
So right now I'm going to present about the graph for the central tendencies and dispersion. As you can see from the first histogram, you can see the relationship between the number of participants and the CGPA. And as you can see, the number of participants is highest on the highest end of CGPA. As you can see, there's 12 people at 3.8724 CGPA. On the next graph, we can see the frequency polygon between the frequency of the number of participants and the midpoints of each CGPA. From the same histogram as before, the highest amount of participants is in the 3.95 to 4.115 CGPA. The next graph is the ogive between the cumulative frequency and the upper boundary of each CGPA. Next up, we have the graphs for the relationship between the number of participants and hours spent on curricular activities. And as you can see, a lot of people tends to spend 2 hours on their curricular activities, while most of them also spends more than 5 hours into their curricular activities. We can see that the lowest number of participants spend 4 hours on their curricular activities, and a few people, there's nobody that does not spend any hour on their curricular activities. We have the frequency polygon of the number of participants and hours spent on curricular activities, and this is the ogive of the cumulative frequency and the hours spent on curricular activities. That's all.
We're going to look at the measure of central tendencies and dispersion for our previous data that we took from the survey, which is CGPA and number of hours of curriculum activities in a week. Look at the mode of the data, which is the measure of the most frequent data collected. So if you can see, our mode class is 3.87 until 4.0, which is 12. So it is the highest in between all the class groups. This is our calculation for the mode. So we got 3.876, which is that is the mode of our data here. We go into median. So first we need to find the median class. So we divide our cumulative frequency over 2, and then we get 18.5. So however, the data for this class is only until 16. So after that, it's actually in this class. So this is our median class, which is 3.65 until 3.86. So this is our calculation. So mean for our CGPA data is 3.63. For variance, this is our formula for which is midpoint squared frequency and minus the midpoint frequency squared over total frequency minus 1. And yeah, we just plug in numbers. Variance is the measure of how data points differ from the mean. So you can see that it is it differs so much because it's 10.353, which is a very big number. But however, it can be explained as our mean for the data is 3.63, and most of our data, which is 3.66, is in this class, but most of our data is in the lower 2 classes. So this means our data has the data points differ a lot from our mean. And for standard deviation, this is just the square root of the variance. We get 3.218, and 3.218 standard deviation shows how much the dispersion of the data from our mean. So because our variance is so high, we get a standard deviation that is very high.
Okay, good.
Okay, so I'll be explaining about the central tendencies and dispersion of hours spent on curricular activities by our survey. So from our survey, we got the mode of 2 hours from all of the survey participants. Most of them spend about 2 hours weekly on curricular activities. We have a median of 3 hours spent weekly on curricular activities by our survey participants, and the mean of our data is at 3.05. So the mean and the median is almost the same. So next, we'll be moving towards the dispersion. Here we have almost the same table. It's really the same table. So our variance for this table is 1.238, which means that the data doesn't differ as much from one to another. And for the standard deviation, we have the celebration at 1.113, which means that the number of data that differs from the mean is not that much.
Findings indicate that there is no direct correlation between your CGPA and extracurricular involvement, poor CGPA and extracurricular involvement. Contrary to expectations, involvement in extracurricular activities actually may lead to an increased CGPA, and both male and female survey takers agree that they do see a difference between those that are involved and those that are not. The majority of those who spend 2 to 5 hours per week on extracurricular activities maintained a higher than average CGPA. And so moving forward, it may be important to consider that the time involved outside of academics, fields, and classrooms may provide insightful knowledge for students and that can be applied in studies. From our findings, our recommendation is that for Gen Z students to be involved with 3 or less extracurricular activities in university.